Hey everybody, thank you for checking out this video. We put out a video as well as a free course on Option Omega Academy just a couple months ago on an opening range breakout. Got a ton of feedback about that. In general, people were really interested. They wanted to see some more backtests. They wanted to see some more use of the tool. This is especially true of the many new subscribers we have. So we're going to kind of do a spiritual sequel to that class. What we're going to do is take the same idea that we were backtesting on Orb class, and we're going to look at maybe some other ways to play it. So what we did was we looked at SPX since dailies, and we may revisit this. Now, what's interesting is we've got 2 years of data since dailies, and there's probably a whole class we could do on how to think about how long your backtests are. And there are a lot of schools of thought on this, and that's not going to be what this class is, but we're going to start out with dailies, since dailies, which is 2 years. So as a reminder, May 16th, 2022, Tuesday and Thursday dailies were added to SPX, by far our most popular ticker to backtest. And so what we're going to do is we're going to start with there, but we may look at this on a longer time frame, because a request that comes in a lot is, please show me a strategy that wins all the time under any market condition. To which I saw somebody respond, would you also like the code to my combination safe? So obviously, if you have a strategy that works all the time under any market condition, you have found a rare thing indeed. But we're going to maybe try to find something that works under a lot of different market conditions. If it works for 2 years, we might try to backtest it a little bit longer. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at, let's start out with a call spread. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the same thesis that we used on the ORB, which is that Fridays are bullish. So as a reminder, since 2022, we've had a lot of down moves in the market. We've also had a lot of huge up moves and a lot of grinding. So we're going to do just a call spread. We're going to probably play with this a little. So we are long a call spread, and I'm actually going to make it, well, let's try making it 30 points wide. So we're buying a 50 delta call, so relatively an at the money call, and we're selling a call 30 points away. And we're going to have some fees and commissions. There's a couple different standard models that people use in Option Omega for the brokers, and we're going to just pick one of them. So let's start out and see how this does. I have not backtested this exact thing. I don't know how it's going to do. I think we're going to need at least a couple limiters on it. So, okay, I would say pretty ugly. When I look at this, we're doing 10% of the portfolio. That's probably a little high, but you can see these spreads are about, they're about $1,000, about $10 each. And if you look at it, actually, shockingly, this strategy did pretty well in 2022 and 2023, which is a little bit surprising, but this is awful here. Like, you would feel like a hero in June of 2023 if you started trading this. And then look at this, we got a Mount Fuji here, right? You would no longer feel like a hero. And I would wager to say you would probably not continue trading this. So this is super simple to think about in terms of a risk profile. You basically are buying the at the money call pretty soon after open. And we have a bunch of things we can do. So the first thing let's do is let's look at buying it earlier than 9:45. So let's look at buying it right after market open. So 9:32 is the first minute of options data we have, because the 9:31 data is so spiky and has a mess. And so this is interesting how much just that change makes. Like, it's still not something I would want to trade. And I wouldn't want to trade it because of this max drawdown. It's pretty ugly. What it tells you, though, I mean, it's another way to confirm that thesis that we saw in the ORB, which is on Fridays, things can be pumpy, because as long as you finish, basically 10 or 15 points up from where you open at 9:32, the trade's going to be profitable. And then, sometimes you'll have a pretty nice profit. The downside, of course, is you could easily go to zero as well. So like This one, the market finished 40 points below where you opened. You went to 0. Here's another one. You finished, 43 points below where you opened. You went to 0. This one just a little bit down, but there's a lot of interesting examples. Here's another one, about 30, 25, 30. So if you look through it, and this may give us, this is helpful because this may give us some ideas for later. So let's try to tweak this a little bit. So the miscellaneous section, which is referred to lovingly as the Punisher, it makes your backtest better by making them worse. We're not using a ton of the Punisher on this one, and we don't have a profit target. We could play around with a profit target. My guess, though, is that if you look at a lot of the max profits, you're going to find that if you set a profit target, and I can tell probably just by looking at this, if you set a profit target, you're probably just going to cut your winners short. So we can play around with it. So let's set 100% profit target. Now let's think for a second, the spread is going to be 30 wide. And if we're paying around $10, max profit is basically doubling. So we want to do these two options in the Punisher with a profit target. And what this does, if you know Option Omega, you'll know these are well referenced in the Punisher. This makes sure that your profit target actually closes out at the profit in the backtester, not more than the profit, and it also makes sure that you hit the profit minute 2 minutes in a row. And as suspected, you're gimping yourself. So you win most of the time, and honestly, 9.3% CAGR is not the worst thing in the world, but there's just no way that a lot of people would be enthralled by this, especially considering all the other backtests that you can find on the Option Omega Discord, which is linked in the bio, which is totally free. Let's do this. Let's look at maybe limiting our entries and see if this is helpful. So one of the things that we can do is we can enter and exit based on VIX conditions. And so let's try this. So we're going to say that VIX has to open down. Okay, so what we're doing is we're putting a 0.01 min VIX move down. So basically on any move down, that will gate the test so that it's a requirement that you have a VIX down move. And again, the way we measure VIX is just like your layman's normal way of measuring VIX, which is you look at when VIX closed the previous day and compare it to the first print after 9:30. So we're not doing any of the after hour overnight VIX or anything like that, just the normal RTH VIX. So let's see if this makes things better. And this test that we're coming from was one that had the profit target. So wow, okay. Geez, that had a big impact. So reminder, here's one with the profit target. Here's the ride or die. So this was before we added the VIX condition. So by adding that VIX condition, what we did is we cut the trades in half that we're trading. So instead of doing it all the time, it's doing it about half the time, which, as a heuristic kind of makes sense. VIX moves up sometimes, it moves down sometimes. So you're taking half those off the board. And again, not something I personally would be super stoked about because of this drawdown. That's pretty ugly. So, but this is something we can work with here. This is something we can start with. And we could probably even do less than 10% as well, because that's 4K in your trades, which you would love in these times and hate during these times. So we'll keep it this way for now. We may revisit that. Let's think about what else we can do. So this is buying a call spread. Another way to think about this is I'll do a little sermonette here on how people think about options traders, retail. I think the perception at large is retail options traders are unsophisticated. They go long SPY, long Qs, long NVIDIA, long meme stocks, whatever. There's a huge number of retail options traders who are selling premium. And what we're going to do is the opposite, which I think long premium strategies have a growing home. The ORB was one of them. What we're going to do, and I don't think this is going to be great, but we're going to try it out. We're going to do a inverse Condor. So we're going to buy an at the money put and then sell 30 points away. So this is going to totally change the risk reward of our trade. And I don't think we're going to like it, but let's check it out. The cool thing about the backtester is it's so quick that you can iterate extremely fast. So the losers obviously get a lot more expensive because you're paying more than double, basically, because of put skew, or around double for the put spread, for your put debit spread. So this is what folks might call a RIC, or a reverse iron condor. You might hear them called an inverse iron condor. The RIC is probably the most common term. And so what we're doing here, again, we've got our call spread. So we're buying a call and selling a higher call. And we're doing the same thing with a put. So we're buying a put and selling a farther away put. And the thing about it is that our risk reward here, it's a volatility play. Like, you need movement, but you need about 20 points of movement in one direction or the other. And it's still not like, this isn't the worst trade in the world. And what's super interesting about it, and this is where you have a dramatically different outcome with like the same MAR. So let's look at it. This is the call spread. Here's the RIC. So the MAR is the same, even though in the call spread example, you are 5xing, 6xing your money. Your CAGR's through the roof. Your drawdown's also brutal. It's just brutal right here. And the reason why the MAR is almost the same with the RIC is because you still have big max losers, but you're winning 69% of the time. That's nice. You're winning 7 out of 10 trades. You have some sort of winner, which shows you Fridays are bullish. Fridays also are just good movement days. And we can play around with this. Let's see if we can't make this a little bit better. So what we want to do, let's try making it cheaper. So we know there's movement, and anytime it's winning to the upside, which we know it wins to the upside a lot, if we make the downside movement cheaper, that will, there we go. That increased the MAR quite a bit. So this is actually the highest MAR out of any of them we've tried. Again, you have to look at MAR in context. So I think in real life, if you would have traded something like this, you would be pretty happy. It's nearly 3xing your money trading every other Friday in 2 years. So that's pretty good. 20% capture rate. It's not terrible. You're winning not 69% of the time, 64% of the time. So that you're increasing your tent of death here a little bit. Let's keep going. Let's just play around with this a little bit. So this is kind of an interesting, everything's 30, but 50 delta. So this is an interesting heuristic. 30 delta on the puts, 30 wide on the calls. And I think we're still continuing to get better. Yeah, I'm just going into recent test runs. And yeah, like this is interesting. So this is nothing is as high as the call spread was as far as a straight out return, but your MAR is getting better because right now what we're doing is we're still getting a good CAGR and our drawdown is less severe. Like it's still not, you would still be feeling pretty bad right here. Probably, it depends on your risk tolerance and all that, but it can lose a lot in a row. That's people would call that sequence risk. Let's just keep going just for fun. And what we're doing is we're making the trade cheaper. We're buying a farther and farther out put and making the trade cheaper. But what we're doing is we're finding days when there's a big move, but it's down and we're still able to win. Now this is really interesting. So the drawdown finally really started to go back up there. I think we bottomed out at 30 delta on the put spread. And if you compare these, the CAGR is pretty close to the same. Your win percentage keeps dropping. Your losers keep getting smaller. So like that's interesting, but your MAR has gone back down. So if we start with this is a pretty good baseline to start playing around with. Hopefully you got some good ideas on how to play around with these RICs, and maybe if you're somebody who's used to selling credit more, that going long premium and buying credit occasionally may be something you can use to spice up your portfolio. Again, we've got Option Omega Academy. If you're interested in educational content, the heart of Option Omega is our backtester and our backtesting community. I will put a link in the video descriptions. And if you enjoy YouTube videos like this, where we use the tool and demonstrate some ideas that you can backtest on your own, make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Thanks.